Welcome back to Pimp My Setup. Today we're going to be taking a look at some unusual setups, and later today we're going to hear from special guest PremierReviewer. So if you're interested in that, then sit back, relax, and interact because the show starts now.
It's time for the original setup show dedicated to providing you with tips, tricks, and feedback to pimp out your setup. Hosted by Matt Philly with new special guests every week. Coming at you live in 3, 2, 1.
Help support the channel by joining the Swashin crew. It's only $1 a month and you get a special Discord ring. Head on over to swashin.tv/support to join. Hi, I'm Matt Philly. This is episode 7 of Pimp My Setup. Be sure to hit that like button if you're enjoying the show, and let's just hop right into it. What am I, Philip DeFranco? I wish. First setup of the day, submitted by Jason, who's 21 years old. You set it for entertainment, gaming, VR, and school. Jason said that the giant wooden board is something that he quickly built after his dad nearly punched the TV while playing VR. The legs push up against the wall to prevent it from getting pushed. The sound system is hooked up to 10 speakers, 4 in the front, 6 along the ceiling, and in the corners. All of his systems run through the speakers, and he even has wireless headphones hooked up so they work with every device, even the N64 and GameCube. The hooks hanging from the ceiling are for playing VR with an extension cable. Well, I will say this setup definitely fits today's theme of being unusual, but it's also really cool because it is the perfect space for VR. The cover for your TV is definitely interesting. I understand the reasoning for it. Back in December of 2016 on Christmas Day, we had the Vive set up temporarily in my living room, and I punched the fan and I broke it, so I understand the reason for that. What I think though, is since you leave it off on the side, kind of just on display as we can see in this photo, I think you should just paint it black. That way it just looks a little bit nicer when you have it laying off to the side. Also, I think it's really cool you have those hooks for playing VR with the extension cable, and I also like that you put the googly eyes on the VR headset. That's awesome. And I also really love that you have an N64 and a GameCube and a PS2. Like, this seems like an awesome place to hang out. Like, who wants to go to Jason's house? But when I stop thinking about VR, this setup becomes very confusing and odd and just different. So I think, theme is lacking big time for sure. I think most importantly, it just doesn't seem very usable at all. I think that it just doesn't make sense with the 4 displays. They seem pointless and you can't really fully utilize them. I don't know. Why not drop money on a big ass nice TV and just use that? You know what I mean? So for me, it's confusing, but maybe you have a better explanation to provide. Other things I would nitpick on would just be like everything under the TV, like the PC. They all look so cramped and squished together that hopefully they're getting enough air. And then also the garbage can, I think is just like, it's like super eye-catching. I would probably just, get one that blends in a little bit better. But again, I'm nitpicking. Jason got 3 6s, 2 9s, making his final score a 72. The next set of the day is submitted by Yudho, who's 23 years old. You set it for multimedia, office, graphic design, and stuff like that. And of course, watching swashin, yeah. What you're looking at is basically an art project featuring styrofoam, like a lot of styrofoam. It honestly must have taken forever, but it definitely looks cool, and it's something that everyone can appreciate whether you actually like the setup or not. If you turn off the lights, you'll really appreciate it. Not only does he have some LED strips to make it look like a spaceship, but he also has glow-in-the-dark stickers which make it look like something from Tron. And to make this setup even more interesting, it's actually powered by a laptop, and you may be looking around like, where's the laptop? I don't see it. Well, it's behind the monitors, which is just crazy. And look at the cable management for it. It's great. Overall, this setup just turned a very small space into a unique piece of art. And one thing I wonder is like why he left such a big space on the wall empty and why some parts just seem to like cut off. I guess it's just how you designed it. I don't know. I'm not too sure. For me, this setup is insanely trippy to the point where I don't think I can handle it on a daily basis. I feel like it would distract me from the monitors, but I really love it. I want you guys to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Is this something you would love to have in your setup, or do you think it's just too crazy, over the top, not your style? Now, there's no denying that Yudho's setup is insane, so he got 2 9s, 3 10s, making his final score a 96. Now, the next setup of the day, submitted by Grayson, who's 12 years old. He set up for gaming and homework, and he said, "Love you, Matt. Roast me hard. I can't buy anything. Just tell me what I can improve on. Flamingos for life." Okay. I want to be nice because I was once a 12-year-old with a very cringeworthy setup that, featured some of my childhood stuff, but also had me trying to fit all these electronics in my room. And I think it's different though, because this is more messy than it is like cringy. I will say though, I like that you have a lot of interest. You should definitely take everything off the wall and start fresh though. If you paint the walls, get rid of the Lakers theme. No offense, I don't even watch basketball, so I'm not dissing anybody. I don't even think, does Kobe Bryant play still? No? Okay. Yeah, it's been a bit. But really, just by starting fresh, you can make the walls a little more appealing, because right now they're just, cool. There's a lot going on. You have to get rid of all those product boxes under your desk. You need to just clean up your room altogether. Get a real desk, not a dirty fold-out table. And I'm not sure I understand the TV being hung so low, unless you quite literally have no lower body. And near that, I also see some beer. So I want to know, are you actually 12? Why are there empty drinks on the floor? This setup is just a typical 12-year-old setup. And I know people are going to wonder why I included you. And honestly, I just thought that this setup was unusual. I'm really sorry, Grayson, but I gave you a 32757, making your final score of 48. The next setup of the day is submitted by Julian, who's 14 years old. He uses a setup for video editing. And yeah, this setup is really bright, clean, and just simple. The usability is pretty good, minus the monitors being wider than the table and the drawers needing to be slanted away to display the PC, which really defeats the purpose of the drawers because you can't even use them without walking to the other side. I think that my main problem with this setup is that it's just so far away from the wall, and that's definitely unusual. I understand that the wall's slanted, but it just seems silly to be that far away. Get yourself a saw, shorten that monitor pole, and that way you can go further back. No one will actually see how bad you did with cutting it because it's going to be hidden behind the displays. And of course, you just need to sort the cables a little bit more. Props on the PC cables. It looks like you spent some time there, but I'm not sure about the LED strip. Also, the theme is not great here, which is unfortunate because you have just this awesome space and great equipment that people would die for, and you're not really doing too much with it. Julian got a 5, a 6, 2 9s, and a 10, making his final score a 78. Final setup of the day submitted by Riley, who's 17 years old and uses their setup for gaming and content creation. Since I have a 3rd grade reading level, you can just pause the screen here and check out all the stuff he has to say about his setup. If you want to feel like you just did some LSD with Steve Jobs all the way back in the 70s, then just keep going through and staring at these photos. They are insanely trippy. This setup is not only unusual and unique, but it's quite cool, to be honest. As far as the room goes, this is super cool and different, and it just has this interesting atmosphere that I really haven't seen in a setup before. But as far as the actual desk setup goes, it's not too great. The PC and shelf are problematic because they make the shelf seem super crowded, which also makes the speakers look way too close. And then you have this small ass keyboard that looks weird since the closest part of the tabletop is empty compared to the back, which isn't quite empty. The TV also seems too high and not really tilted down at all, and I'm not sure about the PC being on the table in this situation, but then again, you are covering part of your closet, so I don't think you really care about little details like that. The room as a whole, amazing. The desk setup itself definitely needs some work, but nothing too crazy. Just moving a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and before you know it, you'll be like, damn, this is a nice ass setup. Riley, you got yourself 2 6s, a 7, an 8, and a 10, making the final score a 74. Taking a look at the final scores here, Yudho got 1st place with a 96, and Grayson last with a 48. Now it's time for the part of the show where we hear from our special guest to find out what they thought of each setup submitted today, and also which one was their favorite. Today's special guest is PremierReviewer, aka Carlos.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Carlos here from PremierReviewer, and I just want to say a big shout out to Matt for having me on. Let's get right into some of these setups. So the first setup I'm looking at is from Jason. I understand what you're going for. It's still a little weird because it's not in an office or studio type environment. It's actually like your living room. A con is the fact that it's kind of all boxed in, but other than that, I think you have plenty of room for your VR gaming. I see you do. The color scheme looks good. My con would just be possibly upgrade your actual entertainment section so you can separate some of that. All right, next we're moving over to, I'm gonna butcher this, Yudho. It looks amazing. I love the fact that the RGBs aren't overwhelming, but just have that right touch. So my con for you would be that big space is lacking some sort of artwork, and it would be cool to see that filled in. So next we have Garrison, who's 12 years old. And yes, this looks like a 12-year-old's bedroom. You're using your laptop as your main display. I think if you can add a secondary display right there, I think it would go a long way in your productivity. Plus you'll be working with bigger screen. Plus if you can change out the actual desk to an actual real desk, maybe something from IKEA, it would look fantastic. Those small changes would look great. Now my cons are, it looks a bit cluttered, so maybe try to move some stuff around, maybe some posters. Obviously we can see the personality, the theme. For that, I give you 2 thumbs up because I think you're doing a great job with that. Next we have Julian, who's 14 years old. My only con would be possibly getting a different monitor mount because all that headroom that you have, unless it's meant to add a 4th monitor, possibly another one on top, maybe something like how I have right here would be cool. But if it's not, maybe change that out. Just so it gives it a little bit more of a floating look. This is probably my favorite setup of all of them because the simplicity of it. I think you're right on track, man. So next we have Riley, who's 17 years old. Riley is a new ager. He has a ton of stuff. At first you get lost in his room with all the space and alien stuff, possibly getting rid of that shelf on the left side of your monitor so you can maybe get another display. Man, that's just nitpicking stuff. I think the cable management looks good. I know you can't do nothing about like the molding around the walls, but if you can possibly paint those black, you never know. 17 years old, man, you might be able to tell your mom, hey, I gotta do this. Carlos told me I gotta do this. Overall, as a setup the way it is right now, I like it a lot. So guys, that wraps it up for me. Thank you again, Matt, for having me on. Hopefully you liked some of the feedback I was able to provide for you. And if you guys want to check out my setup, Matt will leave a link to it down below. I just recently did a setup tour, so go check it out. And guys, I'll see you around.
Big shout out to Carlos for being today's special guest. I'll leave a link to all of his stuff down below in the description. And also check out his setup tour. It's really badass. That's it for episode 7 of Pimp My Setup, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. And don't forget, I'm Matt Philly and you're not. Get out of my face. Have a great day. And I'll catch ya on the flippity flop.